I was 19, you were 21, the year we got engaged, and everyone said we were much too young, but we did it anyway. We got the rings for 40 each from a pawn shop down the road, and we said our vows and took the leap now 15 years ago.
We knew we were ready, we were in love, and we didn't want to wait. My parents tried to convince us to live together, and we didn't want to do that. And so we knew that we could make it work, and we weren't afraid to, and it really strengthened our faith in God and our relationship with God, so we were just ready. We didn't want to wait.
Well, I think we were both just so excited when we found each other and we realized that we wanted to get married that we really didn't take into consideration that we would be in college, and we didn't really think it would be a problem for our marriage. So I think it's going to work out well. I think it's easier when you're younger because the older you get, the more you get your own personal views in on things, and sometimes it's harder the longer you've thought certain ways to kind of change your ideas. And so when you're younger, you might be a little more flexible and a little open to other people's ideas.
Well, I feel like I've matured light years ahead of what I would have, just because Chase is about 4 years older than me, and he's got a lot more experience in different aspects of life, so I've been able to learn from that. And then, you know, you accept a whole new family into your life. Mm-hmm. So you learn from them, and you learn how to accept different people, and even if, you know, you don't agree 100% with their lives and life choices or their attitudes or any of that, you still learn to accept it. And I think that I've learned a lot about accepting people, and like I said earlier, we've definitely grown religiously in it, because there's been times that's all we've got is our faith, and that's what pulls us through.
I have my husband to worry about now, so not only my homework, but my husband, and not just having fun, but going home and doing my job as a wife too.
Well, it's a lot like being single, I suppose, in college. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of differences other than thinking about somebody else also when you're thinking about planning your schedule out and what you're going to do between classes if you've got time free. And it just takes a lot of selfishness out of it, and it's not all about me anymore. It's about what do we want to do. So
when I was single, I was dragging myself out of bed at the last possible moment to get to class, and all I had to worry about was me and getting my work done and going to class. So it wasn't a big deal. Now that I'm married, I wake up at 5 every morning, and I make my husband's lunch for him to go to work, and then I get myself ready and I leave Pratt around 7 or 7:30 every morning. So it's challenging, and then when I get home, I have to make supper and make sure the house is clean and laundry, so it's definitely a lot different than when I was single.
Well, I wasn't a very good student, for one thing, and then I realized, you know, my degree not only affects me anymore, it affects my husband and future kids. 100%. I think it has given us a huge, strong foundation. I mean, there's a lot of things that we wouldn't have had to have gone through or done if we wouldn't have been married for these last 2 years.
Oh, I think it's been great. Yeah, it hasn't been a problem. It's, like I said, you have to make adjustments, but I don't think it's been a problem. I think it's actually been kind of fun to plan with someone about what you're going to do in college rather than just try and figure it all out by yourself. I think it's been a little easier, not just because there's two sources of income, but also it's easier because, you know, when you're taught how to handle your finances, you're usually taught by your parents, and they kind of have their own way of doing it. And so when you get married, you learn what your spouse's way of doing it is, and so you can kind of work together and figure out a way that really works best to handle finances and keep track of money. And so I think it's actually been a little easier.
Probably the biggest issue. I would say before I just had my apartment to pay for, and now, I have school plus a house and bills and everything else. So yeah, it's been an issue.
I didn't have a whole lot of help from home, and my husband had zero help from home. So it's not a huge change for us. It's just learning how to combine each other's expenses and assets and all of that. Just learning how to do it together.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say it's any harder. I do. I really felt out of touch and everything when we first moved down here, because we transferred here on it's my second year into, well, it'd be my third year, going into my junior year. And it's just, yeah, you get treated a little different. People kind of, I don't know, think it's a little bit odd because they're not familiar with it. And I don't know. And since we changed our lifestyle and everything too, that had a big impact as well. So maybe it wasn't just that we were married, it was maybe we were living different and our friends were changing and stuff like that. But I feel like a minority at times, because there's a lot of people who don't necessarily work while they're going to school and such, so sometimes I feel out of touch with everybody else.
I think people underestimate the amount of maintenance and amount of time it takes to have a good marriage, whether you're going to school or not. It takes a lot of work. I think that's why so many people end up in divorces. They get this idea that marriage is just going to be a picnic and it's going to be really easy and everything's going to be so smooth, and they don't realize that it does take a lot of time and it takes a lot of communicating and just a lot of effort on both people's part.
Before then, I could just go do whatever, my friends would call, and it was no big deal. But now, yes, we are treated differently because we don't go out as much or hang out as much as we used to.
I think it's really strengthened our marriage and strengthened our individual work ethics and our individual drive.